Ah, family, such a warm word, such a sharp blade. Everyone imagines blood means loyalty, that the ones born closest to you will stand closest to you. But sometimes, the very people at your table are the ones sharpening the knives under it. And when the cracks begin to show, when the smiles don't match the eyes, you'll learn the hardest truth. Not everyone who shares your name deserves to share your future. Separation feels cruel, like tearing skin from bone. But sometimes it's the only way you survive. Because not every bond is sacred, not every embrace is safe, and not every family member is meant to walk with you into the fire that shapes who you're becoming. Blood is not always protection. People love to whisper that blood is thicker than water, as if biology alone could guarantee loyalty. They cling to the idea that because someone carries the same name, the same bloodline, they must be safe. But blood is just liquid, and liquid can be spilled. You see, family is not always the shield you think it is. Sometimes, it is the blade pressed against your back. Think about it. How many betrayals in this world are born not from strangers, but from the people closest to us? Strangers don't have access to your secrets. Strangers don't know how to twist the knife where it hurts most. No, that privilege belongs to family. They know where you are weakest because they've watched you grow. They know how to make you doubt yourself because their words sink deeper than anyone else's. They can smile in your face at breakfast and bury you by nightfall. And the cruel part, you might still defend them because you've been taught to believe family means safety. But blood doesn't save you. Blood binds you, and bindings can strangle. Some of the greatest cages people ever live in aren't built with bars. They're built with guilt, obligation, and the illusion that because someone is family, you owe them your loyalty, no matter how many times they break you. That's the trick, convincing you that to step away is betrayal. But what if staying is the betrayal? What if protecting yourself means disappointing them? Which betrayal cuts deeper? The one where you save yourself, or the one where you destroy yourself to keep them comfortable? And here's the thing. Blood can blind you. It whispers that the people you love cannot possibly mean you harm. So you overlook the warning signs. You excuse the disrespect. You silence your instincts. You stay in the fire and pretend the burn doesn't hurt. Until one day you wake up charred, realizing that the ones you thought were holding you up were the very ones pushing you down. But by then, the damage is done. Protection doesn't come from shared veins. Protection comes from shared intention. You are safer with a stranger who wants to see you rise than a brother who resents your every step forward. You are safer with someone outside your bloodline who truly believes in you than with someone inside who secretly wants you to fail. And yet so many people cling to the illusion of safety, letting themselves rot because they think blood is enough. Blood is not always protection. It can be a trap. Think of the inheritance of bitterness passed down through generations. Think of the cycles of abuse hidden behind the word tradition. Think of how many lives have been broken because someone couldn't walk away from toxic blood. It doesn't matter if it's a father, a sister, a cousin. If their presence is poisoning you, blood will not save you. It only makes it harder to admit the truth. There's a reason some people are pulled away from their families by force, by circumstances, by divine design. Sometimes it's the only way to break free, because left on your own, you would never choose it. You would cling to the illusion of safety until it killed you. You'd defend the very ones who are holding you down. You'd keep believing that blood is thicker, when in reality, blood can drown you. And so you learn the brutal lesson: family is not defined by blood, it is defined by loyalty. And loyalty cannot be faked forever. It shows in who protects you when you're weak, who celebrates you when you win, who stands beside you without envy or malice. Those are the ones worth keeping. The rest, they can share your name, your blood, even your home, but they do not share your future. Loyalty is proven, not inherited. People love to believe it comes packaged neatly with a last name, passed down like eye color or height, but it doesn't. Loyalty is not in the blood, it's in the choices. It's in the moments when someone could walk away, but doesn't, when they could betray you but stand firm instead. You can't demand loyalty from someone just because they share your bloodline. You can't assume it's simply because they grew up in the same walls, ate at the same table. No, loyalty doesn't work like that. It's not given at birth. It's earned, tested, revealed in fire. And the cruel trick is, most people don't discover the truth until it's too late. They bet everything on the assumption that family equals loyalty, and then the knife slides in from the very hand they trusted most. Betrayal stings harder when it comes from inside the circle. A stranger can hurt you, yes, but a stranger doesn't carry the weight of expectation. Family does. That's why when they falter, it shakes you to the core. It makes you question not just them, but yourself, your worth, your entire understanding of love and belonging. But here's the thing: loyalty is action, not title. You can wear the name, but it doesn't mean you'll stand in the storm. You can claim the blood, but it doesn't mean you'll fight in the dark. Loyalty is proven in the moments nobody is watching, when sacrifice costs something, when silence is safer but speaking out is necessary. That's when true colors bleed through. And sometimes, those colors are blacker than you imagined. The world is full of people, hiding behind the mask of family, while their hearts are anything but loyal. They'll smile at you, hug you, say the right words, but when the ground shakes, when the fire burns, when the walls close in, they're gone. And you're left standing in the ashes, realizing you mistook proximity for loyalty. But closeness doesn't mean commitment. Blood doesn't mean bond. You'll see it when jealousy creeps in, when your success is treated like a threat instead of a victory, when your pain is minimized instead of comforted, when your vulnerability becomes their weapon instead of your shield. Those are the cracks that reveal the truth. And yet, so many ignore it. They cling to the illusion, insisting that loyalty must be there because it should be there. They'd rather live with the lie than admit the bond isn't real. But pretending doesn't protect you. Pretending only delays the heartbreak. Loyalty has to be tested. And tests are not comfortable. They demand fire. They demand moments where someone has to prove themselves, where they must choose between their gain and your good. And in that crucible, you'll see who's truly loyal and who's only pretending. That's the moment of clarity most people spend their lives avoiding. But clarity comes whether you want it or not. The truth is, loyalty doesn't always come from where you expect. Sometimes it comes from the stranger who had no reason to stand by you, but did anyway. Sometimes it comes from someone outside the family, outside the bloodline, who proves with action what others only claimed with words. And then you realize a family is not about heritage. It's about loyalty. It's about who actually shows up, not who says they will. Loyalty is proven, not inherited. And that's why it's so rare. People want the comfort of believing it's automatic, but it never is. It has to be tested. It has to be seen in fire, in darkness, in the moments where betrayal would have been easier. Only then do you know. Only then do you see who deserves to walk beside you. Everyone else. They might share your blood, but they do not share your loyalty. Separation is survival, not betrayal. People confuse the two because they've been taught that walking away from family is the ultimate act of disloyalty, the ultimate wound. They say you should endure, forgive, tolerate, because family is family, no matter what. But what they never tell you is how many lives have been shattered, how many dreams buried, how many souls destroyed because someone stayed where they should have left. Survival doesn't always look like fighting. It often looks like stepping away. There's this twisted belief that staying connected at all costs makes you strong, that leaving makes you selfish. But survival demands choices that feel cruel. Cutting ties feels like cutting flesh. But sometimes it's the only way to stop the bleeding. Imagine being chained to someone who drags you into fire every day. But you refuse to break the chain because you fear being called a traitor. Who's really betraying you in that moment? You, for wanting peace, or them, for keeping you in chaos. The truth is, not every family member is meant to walk the full journey with you. Some are seasonal, their role temporary. They were only ever meant to be part of your beginning, not your destination. The danger comes when you keep trying to drag them into places they were never built to go. You start shrinking yourself to fit their limits. You start dimming your light so theirs doesn't look so dull. You suffocate because you think survival means staying, when in reality, survival means leaving before they drown you too. Separation doesn't mean hate. It doesn't mean revenge. It doesn't even mean forgetting where you came from. It simply means recognizing who can't come with you. It means drawing the line between love and survival, between loyalty and destruction. Sometimes the people you're closest to are the very ones holding you back, keeping you trapped in cycles of fear, bitterness, and smallness. And if you keep letting them, it's not loyalty. It's slow suicide. The world will call it betrayal. They'll whisper that you abandoned your own, that you turned your back on family. But what they won't see is the nights you cried in silence, the times you gave everything until you had nothing left, the years you carried weights that weren't yours. They won't see how survival forced your hand. All they'll see is the separation, not the suffering that made it necessary. And maybe that's the price of freedom, being misunderstood. But freedom is worth it. Survival is worth it. Because once you separate, once you step into your own space, you breathe differently. You think differently. You see possibilities that were invisible when you were buried under someone else's shadow. You start to remember who you were before the noise, before the guilt, before the endless cycle of obligation. That's when you realize the truth. Survival wasn't betrayal. Survival was the only way to reclaim yourself. People think betrayal is breaking someone else's trust. But what about betraying yourself? What about betraying your own potential, your own peace, your own destiny, just to keep the illusion of harmony alive? That betrayal is quieter, but it's deadlier. You kill yourself piece by piece, smiling on the outside while rotting on the inside, all because you were too afraid to step away. So no, separation is not betrayal. It's the highest form of self-respect. It's choosing to live instead of merely exist. It's recognizing that some people, yes, even family, are poison in your veins. And you cannot heal if you keep drinking from the same cup. Survival means you break the cycle, even if it leaves you standing alone. Because standing alone free is always better than standing together broken. The closest ones can carry the sharpest knives. That's the part nobody warns you about. You expect danger from the outside, from strangers, from enemies with clear intentions. But the knife that cuts the deepest is the one slipped quietly into your back by someone you trusted. Strangers can't hurt you like that. They don't know your soft spots. They don't know your secrets. They don't know how to twist the blade in just the right place. But the ones closest to you, they've been studying you their whole lives. They've seen you laugh, seen you break, seen you doubt yourself. They know where to strike so the wound doesn't heal. That's why betrayal burns in a way nothing else does. Because you never saw it coming. You weren't looking for it. You were comfortable. You thought you were safe. And in that safety, you gave them access to parts of you no outsider could ever reach. You let them close enough to guard your back, and they chose to use that access as a weapon. That's the real cruelty of it. The wound is sharper not because of the knife, but because of the hands that held it. And yet, people ignore the signs. They excuse the comments that cut too deep. They justify the envy that creeps into conversations. They laugh off the little betrayals, telling themselves it's nothing, because admitting the truth would be too painful. After all, how can the ones closest to you also be the ones destroying you? But denial doesn't dull the blade. It only gives them more time to sharpen it. Sometimes the knives don't even come with malice. Sometimes they come with silence when you needed a voice. Sometimes they come with absence when you needed presence. Sometimes the betrayal is not action, but inaction. The choice to stand back while you fall. That's the knife nobody sees, because it doesn't bleed right away. But the scar it leaves is just as real. The ones closest can hurt you more, because they have more of you to hurt. They've seen you at your weakest, and if envy or resentment takes root in their hearts, they will use what they know against you. They'll weaponize your history, turn your vulnerability into ammunition. And the moment it happens, you realize the knife was never in their hand. It was in their pocket all along, waiting for the right time to be pulled out. And isn't that the most dangerous kind of enemy? The one sitting at your table, smiling, listening, watching. The one who prays with you, laughs with you, hugs you, while quietly sharpening steel behind the curtain. You can spot the enemy outside your walls. You can prepare for their attack. But the enemy inside, the one you welcome in, the one you let guard the door with you, that's the one who kills kingdoms. But here's the lesson most don't want to learn: proximity doesn't equal loyalty. Just because someone is near doesn't mean they're with you. Just because someone shares your blood doesn't mean they share your heart. And just because someone smiles doesn't mean they're safe. The sharpest knives are always hidden behind the warmest faces. That's how betrayal works. It hides under the mask of love until the moment it no longer needs the disguise. The closer they are, the more damage they can do. And maybe that's why survival sometimes looks like distance. Maybe that's why boundaries are not cruelty, but armor. Because if you don't draw the line, if you don't recognize the knife before it's plunged, you'll keep letting them closer, closer, until you can't tell the difference between a hug and a chokehold. Growth demands leaving some ties behind. Everyone talks about growth like it's this beautiful, inspiring climb upward, as if you just keep rising while everything you love rises with you. But that's not how it works. Growth is cruel. Growth is lonely. Growth asks you to walk into rooms where the people you love most cannot follow. And when you try to drag them along, you find yourself stuck, held down, forced to shrink just to keep them comfortable. The reality is brutal. Not everyone is meant to stay. Some ties have to be cut, not because you hate them, but because your future is too heavy to carry with their weight pulling at your ankles. It's easy to talk about sacrifice in theory. Everyone nods their head at the idea of letting go, until it's their turn to actually release someone they thought would always be by their side. That's when the pain hits. That's when you realize that growth isn't just about gaining new things. It's about losing old ones. You lose people. You lose comfort. You lose the version of yourself that once fit perfectly into their world. And the moment you begin to stretch, they start to notice you don't fit the same way anymore. And not everyone likes that. Some people cling to the old you, the small you, the one who didn't make them feel insecure. They'll remind you of your flaws, not to help you, but to anchor you. They'll mock your ambitions, not because they're unrealistic, but because your ambition threatens their stagnation. They'll guilt you, twist your love for them into chains, make you feel like leaving them behind is betrayal. But the truth is, Growth and comfort cannot coexist. And the ties that keep you in comfort will eventually suffocate you. The hardest lesson is understanding that leaving doesn't always mean hate. Sometimes it's just reality. You can love them and still outgrow them. You can wish the best for them and still know they don't belong in the next chapter. Because growth doesn't ask for permission, it demands space. And the higher you climb, the thinner the air becomes. Not everyone can breathe up there. Some will choke. Some will panic. Some will resent you for thriving in a place they cannot survive. And you'll feel the guilt. You'll hear the whispers. You'll wrestle with the fear that maybe you're wrong. Maybe you're selfish. Maybe you're abandoning people who need you. But then you'll remember how long you stayed small just to keep them happy. How long you silenced yourself so they wouldn't feel threatened. How long you delayed your future out of fear of losing their approval. That's not loyalty. That's captivity. Growth demands freedom, and freedom demands separation. The strange part is, once you leave those ties behind, you realize the weight you were carrying. You move faster. You think clearer. You see opportunities that were hidden when your vision was clouded by their doubts and demands. And sometimes, when you look back, you realize they were never really with you anyway. They weren't cheering for your growth. They were tolerating it. And toleration is not support. So growth asks you to make the choice. Stay where it's safe, where everyone knows you, where no one questions you, or step into the unknown, where the path is narrower, lonelier, but filled with possibilities the old ties would never let you reach. It's not a choice between love and hate. It's a choice between living and dying inside. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort of the familiar. It happens when you're brave enough to let go of the hands holding you down, even if those hands once felt like home. Destiny weighs more than family approval. That's the truth no one wants to swallow. We grow up believing that the nods of our bloodline are the keys to our freedom, that their applause will be the fuel for our journey. But what happens when their approval is chained to your silence? Your smallness, your willingness to stay in the box they built for you. What happens when their love comes with conditions? When their support costs you your destiny? You start to realize that approval isn't love, it's control dressed in smiles. And if you're not careful, you trade your future for their comfort. Family approval is intoxicating. It makes you feel safe, like you belong. You crave it because deep down you want them to see you, to be proud, to say the words you've always longed to hear. But destiny isn't interested in making anyone comfortable. Destiny is messy, inconvenient, unpredictable. It drags you into places that don't make sense to anyone else, especially the ones who want you to stay, where they can understand and manage you. Their approval often demands that you bury the very thing that makes you different. And when you obey that demand, you don't just lose your destiny, you lose yourself. People will tell you family comes first, but what they never admit is how many dreams were murdered on that altar. How many people lived small, safe, predictable lives just to keep their family happy, while their destiny rotted inside them. Approval looks sweet in the moment, but it leaves you bitter in the end. Because one day you wake up realizing you traded eternity for applause, purpose for permission, calling for comfort. And the worst part, the approval doesn't even last. People are fickle. The same ones who clap for you today can tear you down tomorrow. If you build your life on their acceptance, you'll collapse when it shifts. Destiny weighs more than family approval because destiny outlives them. It stretches beyond names and generations, beyond what anyone thinks of you now. It's the reason you're here, the reason you were given breath, the reason you can't sleep at night when you try to ignore it. Approval can silence that for a while, but it can't erase it. The more you ignore your destiny to keep them satisfied, the louder it screams in the silence, and eventually it drives you mad, realizing you betrayed the one thing you couldn't afford to lose. The cruelest part is this family may never understand. They may never clap. They may never give you the nod you're waiting for, and that has to be okay. Because your destiny wasn't given to them. It was given to you. They don't have to see it. They don't have to agree with it. They don't have to like it. Their approval doesn't add to it, and their disapproval doesn't erase it. The weight of destiny is heavier, stronger, unshakable. But most people choose the lighter load. They choose approval because it feels easier to carry, and they bury destiny because it feels too heavy. What they don't realize is that approval fades, but regret doesn't. Regret is the heaviest chain of all. You think carrying destiny is hard. Try carrying the knowledge that you abandoned it. Try explaining to yourself why you chose to shrink when you were meant to expand. Try living with the silence of never becoming who you were born to be. Destiny demands sacrifice. It demands misunderstanding. It demands loneliness. And yes, it demands walking away from the comfort of family approval. But in the end, destiny is the only weight worth carrying. Approval feels light, but it keeps you chained. Destiny feels heavy, but it sets you free. The choice is simple. Even if it isn't easy, live for their claps, or live for your calling. One will vanish with time. The other will outlast your name.